And I started talking with my mom about my challenges and my addictions and the stuff that I had in my life. And I said, well, even though I was baptized at 14 years old, I was just playing Christianity. I was not a truly believer, a truly follower of Jesus.
Hello and welcome to the M4 podcast. My name is Craig Hamer and I'm your host. And today with us on the podcast, we have our friend from Romania, Neluțu Iubaș, who's going to be talking about church planting in Romania, a little bit of his family history, let us know a little bit about what's going on in his life, and then eventually looking at how church planting is growing and proceeding in Romania. So you're going to really want to enjoy this episode. So John, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you grow up in a Christian family, background, those types of things for us?
So I grew up in the west part of Romania, in Transylvania. I grew up in a Christian family. I grew up all my life. I was in the church, going to church. Also, my grandfather was a pastor in my area, so I got used with the church thing and church life. When I was 18, I moved to Bucharest, and I started my seminary, the Baptist seminary there, to become a pastor. But before that, my entire high school, I prepared myself to become an engineer in automotives. But in the last year of my high school, God changed my life and also changed my future and my calling.
How did God change your life? Tell us that story.
Well, in the third year of high school, a girl from the high school came to me and said, "Well, I know you're the nephew of a pastor, and I will have some questions from the Bible. Can you help me answer to those questions?" I said, "Yes, of course." Well, I started to answer those questions because I felt something for that girl, not because I was so much interested in answering the questions. But I started to answer the questions, and during that time, I realized that all the answers that I gave, they were only answers that I know by the mind, but not by the heart. And I realized that all the truth and all the information that I brought from the scripture was not actually something that shaped my life or transformed my life. It was just knowledge. So during that process, I felt horrible, and I started to ask myself a lot of questions, and I started discussions with my parents. I was very close to my mom, especially, and I started talking with my mom about my challenges and my addictions and the stuff that I had in my life. And I said, well, even though I was baptized at 14 years old, I was just playing Christianity. I was not a truly believer, a truly follower of Jesus. So by answering those questions and by being invited to be in this journey with this girl, by leading her in the gospel, actually God opened up my eyes, and I saw my life, and I saw my sin, and I saw the need I have for Jesus, and Jesus just met me and changed my life.
Wow, that's a fantastic story. Did things work out with that girl? Maybe you can use that to transition into telling us about your wife and your kids and your family now.
No, actually, in my fourth year of high school, one of my best friends is coming to me and said, "Well, Nelutu, I want to help you. I need your help." And I said, "Okay, how can I help you?" I said, "Well, there is a girl in the high school that I'm so interested in her, and I know she's a good friend of yours." And actually, it was this girl, and I was like, "Okay," I was not that thing coming, so. I said, "Okay, I will help you." So I went to my friend, and I told her, there is a guy who was very interested in you, and he wants to start a relationship with you. And I was saying that, but on the other hand, I was like, "Oh, shoot, I forgot." I, I forgot to ask her if she wants to go in this journey with me, not with him. But at that point, I made the connection, and they started to date. And actually, I was a witness of their journey, and they got married.
Okay.
They're a very good family, involved in the ministry. And I went to Bucharest, so we remained just friends. And I went to Bucharest, and my life was changed. And in Bucharest, I served with my wife. And during the seminary, we had a ministry with students. So I served with her in the worship team. I was leading that worship team, and she was singing in that worship team. But we had nothing in common for those 4 years of serving together. We were just from the same county on the west part, being students in Bucharest. That's the only thing that was like connecting us, not more than that. Actually, during my seminary, I was engaged with a girl from Austria, and I thought that my life and my future would be in Austria, living there and pastoring a church there.
Hmm.
But God had different plans for my life, and I'm so thankful that He showed me in the last minute something, me and also to that girl, that the future is not for us to be together. And after that, I had 2 years of almost 2 years, a year I would say, fully sabbatical, with no plans for future or getting married. I became a pastor in Holy Trinity Baptist Church, and after I became the pastor in Holy Trinity Baptist Church, I was continuing to serve with the students. And at one night we were in a retreat. My wife was there with a lot of young students, and I was like, "What am I looking in other places? When this girl is here next to me, and she's serving God, and she's so beautiful, and I really like her. How could I? How did didn't saw her before?"
Hmm.
So we went back home, and I asked her to date with me. That's another story, but the short version is I asked her to come with me in the city to see a movie. I asked her to come out with me at KFC. And I know she loves KFC. And before she took a bite from his her menu, I asked her, "Do you want to be my girlfriend, but with the purpose of the marriage?" And she was like, she was not expecting that. And she said to me, "Well, yes." And I was so happy. I went home. I was so excited. Yes, I did it. Now let's move on. Second day in the morning, she texts me, "I don't know what was in my head when I told you yes." And it was like silent. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is really bad." I was like, "Okay, she dumped me." I mean, that's what I thought. Next SMS, it was like, I know for sure that was God who was answering, but I didn't was that person who said yes. So this is how we started our journey. 6 months later, we got married, and we are now a family of two with three kids. So a family of five, involved in ministry in Bucharest.
Wow. Wow, that's a great story, John.
Yeah,
That's also a name we call you, John Neluțu. So you'll be hearing many different
many different
names and
names.
options
Yeah,
throughout the interview. Before we move on to talking about church planting in Romania, a little bit more about your background, you have also been involved in business, and that's
yes.
something that sometimes people have it's a tough thing to put together: church, business, being a pastor. So, what kind of business were you involved in, and then how did you kind of reconcile those two things?
So as I told you, in my high school, I was preparing myself to become an engineer in automotives. In Romania, in the high school, you already choose your future job, your future profession. So because my father was a mechanic, I grew up in a car shop. I learned as much as I could about cars. When I started to be a pastor, a youth pastor, the income in my family was very, very low, and I couldn't live with that. So I couldn't provide the needs for my family. So that was the moment when I discussed with my wife. I said, "Okay, I have to bring my gifts, and the only thing I know to do really good is cars." So I started the business in cars. Actually, we were fixing cars and selling cars and transport cars from all Europe to Romania, or from Romania to Europe, depends on the request. So I've been in business till 2022. Um, till 2019, I was just the youth pastor and later on the worship pastor. So during that time, I could manage having the both hats, businessman and a pastor. In 2019, I became the senior pastor of the church, and we are a large church in Bucharest. And from that moment, was really hard to keep balance between the two calls, let's say. um, when I was in the moment to want to increase the capacity in my business, I was seeing myself failing in the ministry. When I was in the ministry, wishing to grow and to grow the ministry and my involvement and all of the thing, I was seeing that I'm failing in my business. But beyond all that, the most hard thing that it was part of my life. I was neglecting my wife and my kids, and I still remember a few moments in my life when my youngest son, who's now is 5, so in 2021, 2022, well, like 3 years old, 2 years old, and some. He was walking in the home with his brother with a fake phone, with a toy, answering to the phone and saying, "Okay, so you want a car? How big is your car? What's the weight of your car? So you want to transport from Germany to Romania and stuff like that." So they started to talk in our family only about cars and business, nothing about church and ministry. And I was like, "What's going on?" And my wife said, "Well, that's what they see in you. When you come at home, you try to do as much as you can for the business, and they see you all the time on the phone, all the time writing emails, all the time taking orders." And that was very hard for me. So before the war in Ukraine got to a different scale, I decided to give up on my business. And actually, exactly in that week when the war get to a different scale, I was delivering my last car. And yeah, from that moment, I'm not in business anymore. I still have the entrepreneurial gift, and I'm still using that for ministry, but I'm not running the business with the cars anymore.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. Now, you spent some time in the United States going to seminary,
Mm-hmm.
and there's quite a big difference,
Mm-hmm.
church and
Mm-hmm.
culture, between the United States and Romania. What were some of those differences that you noticed in having lived there and then also being in Romania about church planting, church, and Christianity in general?
Just to mention, I didn't live there too much, so I just traveling there to the seminary. I was, and I'm still a student at Midwestern Kansas City. Hopefully, this year I will finish. Well, there are a lot of differences. I would say some good things that I saw in the United States helped me to develop the ministry in Romania. And one of the things is, in the Romania, the job of a pastor is that he has to do everything in the church. He's the senior, the executive, the preacher, the social worker, the construction guy, the everything. And also it has to do with our culture, because especially if you grow up in a village area, as I grew up, the mentality, especially for the guys, for men's, is when you are a young kid, they will help you to make anything you can do in a home, like painting, changing bulbs, fixing walls, whatever it needs in the home, but also taking care of your car and stuff. So it's somehow developing us to be a man that can do anything. So in Romania, when something it's broke, you don't ask a professional to come to fix something at your home. I know how to do it, even though you don't know, but you're starting and you try to find a way to fix the things. As the same picture you can find in the life of a pastor. So he's everything in the church. So being in the United States and seeing different roles and seeing what means to be a senior pastor and seeing that it should be people in our church that should care only for the holistic part, only of the spiritual side of the church, and people that could be more focused on the material side of the church and stuff like that. That was a huge challenge in my life and a huge shift also in my mentality as a leader. So I remember after my first visit to the United States, I got home and I looked to my elders, and I figured out that some of my elders are not elders actually. They are deacons or not even deacons, because they thought elders should take care of the toilet paper, of what bulbs we should put, what benches, what color, and stuff like that, not to take care of the souls of the people, not to take care of the spiritual side of the church. So that was a huge shift in my mentality and in my leadership, and also in the leadership of our church. So from that moment, I asked some people to give up on their title as elders, because they were not elders. To some of them, I said, "Okay, I see in you the gift of an elder. Let's equip you and help you to become an elder in the church." So, from that perspective, that was a huge influence from United States to us. On the other side, what I think it's in United States, most of the time the church is becoming like an enterprise. It's very nice. It's big screens, big speakers. Everything is big,
Yeah.
and even the cars.
Yeah.
And that's I love that. I like cars. So, my dream is to have an American car in Romania, but that will take me to bankruptcy because the fuel it's too high on the price. Um, so what I think it's Romanian side or the European side is bringing to the table, it's that we don't see church as an enterprise. We see church as a living body. We see church that it's not around a guy, it's not around a system, it's not around a screen or something like that. We try to be more human being, I would say, and not to offense my American
Mhm.
friends, but that's what I see in Europe. So I think bringing those to the table, the European experience and the US experience, had helped me to shape my leadership and the church where I ministry now.
And when you think about church planting now in
Mhm.
Romania, what is the situation currently in Romania with church planting?
Uh, right now, it's not in a very good moment, and
Why so?
after the 90s, where the communist regime collapsed, a lot of American friends came to Romania to help, and especially the ones who thought that church planting is starting with the building. So I would say for the next 10 years at least, there were huge projects in Romania with, let's go build a building and then try to fill it up with people. So the mentality of Romanians in church planting has changed from a small group of organical ministry and stuff like that to, okay, let's build a building and then let's make programs and people will join to those programs. And it worked for a few years. For a few years, it worked. We have stadiums filled with people, and then we moved to churches, and
Mhm.
it was working. But after a while, people got tired of just going to a building because it was not something like very organically. And I would say till 2000, till the last 5 years, it was decreasing a lot, the church planting. Now I think it's going back, like increasing the church planting, but with very small steps. And that's also because in Romania, church planting after 2000 were not started with a small group that are making disciples who are making disciples, but was more like, let's split this church because I don't like the face of the pastor, or I don't like the music, or I don't like that and that and that, and because I have the best music, or I know how to preach better than you,
Right.
let's move to the different address and start a new church. And that was church planting. So people, when I hear church planting, oh, you're talking about church splitting. I said, no, no, no. We're coming to your city with 3-4 guys that will just share the faith with unreached people, and with those we will start a new church plant. Oh, okay, that's different. How we can make sure that you will not steal people from our side?
Right. Right.
That's the question. But I think we are growing. It's not a good time. I mean, I was like saying, oh, it's awesome what is happening in Romania. No, I will lie if I would say that. But it's slowly but growing, I would say.
In Romania, how many million people are in Romania then, and what is percentage of it is like Christians? And then if you think about churches, how many churches are being planted each year right now?
So in Romania, the number of population, it's around 22, 23 millions. Not all of them are still in Romania. Some of them are in diaspora.
Hmm.
The evangelical percentage in Romania, it's around 2%. Let's say 3%, but I think that's too much. It's not 3%. It's around 2%. I will give you the example of Bucharest. So Bucharest, it's 2.5 millions officially. The reality is we are around 3.5 to towards 4 million with the suburbs, and the percentage of evangelicals, it's beyond 1%. Even though we have only on the Baptist side we have 20 and some churches.
Okay.
So in Bucharest and the suburbs we have around 40, 40 and some churches. But compared with the big number of population, it's still low. I would say in Romania right now, an average it's 10 churches per year. That's
Wow.
the maximum, I would say.
Yeah, because usually you hear in Europe, Ukraine is a place where things are really happening. Romania is a place where things are really happening. So I guess I kind of in my mind thought there would be more going
Yeah,
on.
because also the question is, what do we mean when we talk about church planting? because some organizations will call, if I meet you and another guy, and we have 3 guys that are meeting for 3 months, and then we continue to meet as just 3 guys, that's a church plant.
Okay.
I remember one guy told me, we planted last 2 years 150 churches in Romania. I said, whoa, really? Yeah, man, that's awesome. And where are the churches? Oh, I'm not sure. I said, why are you saying I'm not sure? Well, I
Right.
don't keep track on them. And then how can you say you planted? Well, I did an alpha course or whatever course with them, and I met them 3 months, and then I left them, I blessed them, and they should move on. And are you sure that they moved on? I'm not sure. So how can you say that you planted 150 churches? So when I talk about 10 churches, I'm talking about churches that are actually living the same idea that they had when they started, to multiply disciples, to multiply leaders, and to multiply churches. That's what I'm thinking. I'm talking when I'm saying about church planting, that it's actually something that it's growing, it's moving, it's going to the reproducing, let's say, cycle of life.
So churches that are a little bit more, have some more size
Mhm.
and some function to them that would make them a little bit
Yep.
more substantial than
Yep.
just say 2 or 3 people
Yep.
in a Bible study, as you shared there.
Yep.
And a little bit that does with your background.
Mhm.
You're the pastor of, you said, a large church in Bucharest. So tell me a little bit about that. And then also your church is a mother church.
Mhm.
Maybe explain what a mother church is, and then how many churches you guys have been involved in planting over these years.
So our church could be the largest Baptist church in Romania.
And when you say large,
We
on a Sunday,
Yeah.
how many people are in the room? Just
Now
roughly.
we are like 500
Okay.
people, which is not the largest one, but we couldn't be the largest one. But the vision of our previous senior pastors of the church, and the philosophy of the church, was not to grow here, but to multiply ourselves. So till 1995, till now, our church planted 28 churches.
28.
Yeah, 2 of them are planted this year, actually. One in Constanța and one in Bucharest. From those 28 churches, 2 of them died. I mean, it's not died, but at the one point of their life, they decided to merge with other 2 churches that were planted before.
Okay.
So we can say 26 churches planted that are actually alive and growing. Now, 3 of those churches are larger than ours now. That's a good thing, but also it's a sad thing for me, because they didn't capture the idea that we are not just to grow here, we have to multiply. So right now in our church, when we reach this area of 500 people, that means we are not doing the good job, doing a good job, because our purpose is to not grow more than 350 and 400, but to remain to that number, not because we don't want to grow. We want to grow, but the growth for us means to multiply. So our vision for 23 to 28, it's to plant 5 churches in Bucharest and around. So 2 of them are planted this year. Hopefully by 2028 we'll start 3 other churches.
3 more.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about those 2 churches. You said one is in Bucharest and one
Yeah.
is in Constanța.
Yeah. So the one in Constanța, it's actually 2 family and a single guy are moving to Constanța starting from June. And they will move in Tomis Plus is the area in Constanța, and they will start not by saying, "Oh, we are here, we are a new church in the city, come to us," because that's advertising for believers to come, not for unreached people. So they will go there under the radar, buying homes or renting homes there, starting their jobs there, talking with people, and making disciples by meeting one with one or small groups and stuff like that. And perhaps in 2 or 3 years from now on, they will launch officially the church there. In Bucharest, the group is larger than that. It's around 12 to 13 people. And they started already the meetings, but not in terms of, okay, we are here, come to us. It's more of a missional community that is meeting every 2 Sundays, and they also try to evangelize as much as they can their connections, their people who are related to them.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And so as these churches get started,
Yeah.
they are in quite close relationship with you. You
Yep.
guys are like some sort of network. Will you mentor,
So
keep
till
in contact with them?
2019, our church planting philosophy was not network. Was we plant you, we help you to grow, and then it's your thing. I mean, you're autonomous. Since 2019, the way we do church planting, it's in network. So Holy Trinity Baptist Church is now a network of churches, and we have 3 churches that are connected with us. It's the Constanza one that will start this year. It's the Bucharest one that already started, and we have another one in Bucharest that started like 4 years ago. And what we provide is of course the accountability to the leaders, but also we provide resources. All the pastors who are in those church plants actually are the pastors of the network. We pay them; they're hired by us. We provide rent for the places, for the meetings, and different other things. And actually, what we do, all the resources of the network are the resources of everybody. We have a camp. We have a lot of cars that we use for different activities, so they can use everything for the ministry.
Wow, so you're sharing
Yeah,
everything the mother church
yeah,
has is
yeah.
actually part
And
of the network.
and the request is to have the same vision. So we have one vision as a network, and they have to translate that vision for their context, but it has to keep the fundamentals of that vision.
Mhm.
The mission is the same, word by word, and the values are the same, word by word. So, for example, our mother church vision is we are a church in homes, on the street, and in public worship. But if you look to other visions of the other churches, they will not be stated like that. But you will hear the 3 pillars that we found our philosophy in church. Is
Mhm.
the home, where it is missional communities. Is the street, where we are in mission of Jesus. I mean, we are in mission of Jesus also in the homes. But we see that as a place where we grow and we strengthen ourselves, and we invite friends to come and see the gospel. But we are also on the street, and that means we are on the workplace, on the school, whatever, and we share the gospel there, and then we come together to celebrate Jesus every Sunday morning in one public service. So they have to capture those 3 elements in their vision, and it doesn't matter how it sounds, but they have to capture that, and that's which just keeps us united.
And if you think about those churches, if you just think about them, what is some of the biggest challenges that they face in launching and starting a new church?
Depends on the area. Romania, it's very different from west to east, from north to south, because Romania was influenced from different for by different cultures. So Transylvania area was influenced by Austrian and Hungarians. South of Romania was influenced by Turkish people, most of it. Up north Romania was more of a influenced by the Russian influence. So it depends where. For example, Constanza, one of the biggest challenges is the Muslim population. So they have a lot of Muslims living there, and when they go with the gospel, they're blocking everything.
Hmm.
Oh, we have Allah, we have our stuff. Don't come here with your thing. If you go to Bucharest, the challenge is not because of that. Bucharest is so diverse. We have a lot of religious movements and stuff like that. And I think in Bucharest, the challenge is people are very busy. People who are coming to Bucharest, they are coming to Bucharest because there you can earn very good money. So people are moving to Bucharest not only from Romania, but from different people from different places. For example, the last 2 years we have a lot of Filipinos coming to our place, a lot of Peruvians coming to our place. We have a lot of South Africans coming to our place. A lot of people coming to our place for the jobs. They're very well paid in Romania, comparative with their home towns or home countries. So Bucharest is so diverse, and people are very busy because they want to earn money. That's why they're coming to Bucharest. And actually, if you talk with people that are moving from different areas of Romania, they will say, "Oh, we are here to make money. We are here because of the good job. We are not here to hear your story about the gospel and stuff like that. That's not something interesting." And also, I would say it's the rush that you feel in the city. It's very crowded. People are running. I mean, some people will go 45 minutes to 55 minutes to bring their kids from home to school or from school to home, and you lose like 2 hours, 3 hours in just driving in one day in the city. So people are tired. Oh, I don't want to come to your meeting. I don't want to hear you. I'm so busy here. These are some challenges, and a general challenge we have in Romania, it's finances. One of the biggest problems, it's connected with our culture also, is that churches are not trained to support their servants, their
Okay.
pastors or ministers. There is still the mentality that was under the communist regime, that the pastor should be humble. And when they talk about humble, it's not like you decide to be humble. I will keep you humble.
Okay.
You have to have
Yeah.
the worst car, the worst apartment.
Mm.
You have to,
Suffering for Jesus in
yes,
that way.
suffering for Jesus. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That will make you a good candidate to be a
Mhm.
pastor. So a lot of churches, they don't have the discipline to pay the pastor. They don't have a good discipline to pay their servants, and they keep it very, very low. So that's a challenge, because when pastors want to give 100% of the time to ministry the church, the income that is coming to the family, it's not enough to take care of the family. So sometimes you find them looking for another job, or starting a business, or pushing the mother to start a job, and put the kids in a, I'm not sure, after school, or a place that they can stay all day, and they meet together only in the evenings. And that's a huge challenge also in Romania.
Great. So you shared a little bit about your vision that these 5 churches by
Mhm.
2028. Where's your vision for 10 years? And what's your vision for 50 years? You're a great grandfather, maybe then you're not maybe as active. What would you like to have seen happen in Romania?
That's a good question. um, First of all, it has to do with me. So I'm still doing a lot of executive work, and I'm a visionary guy. But because of the legacy of the church, and because of the legacy of evangelical world in Romania, we doing a lot of executive work, and I'm still doing a lot of executive work. And in order to move faster in applying the vision of seeing a grow in church planting, I need to change something. And I'm praying for, in the next 2 years, to find an executive pastor who can replace my executive jobs. On the other hand, what we see in is that if we can plant every 5 years 5 churches, that could be a good thing. But starting from this year, we started with another dream. So we captured the dream of M4, of course, one church planted every day in Europe. But we say, okay, what steps can we do in order to see that? So we started this year with our church to pray one disciple to be added every day in Romania to the Church of Christ. It doesn't say to Holy Trinity Baptist Church,
Mhm.
to the Church of Christ. So what we do now, we purposely praying and acting to see every day at least one disciple added to the number of disciples. And that could be in a new church plant, that could be in a mother church on a different settling, but that's one of the things that we want to do now. And we pray about it, and we fast about it, and we preach about it. But on a long term, my vision for our church is to see each person from our church or our network part of a missional community who's living the mission of Jesus in that setting, who's becoming a true follower of Jesus and courageous follower of Jesus, who's communicating the gospel through words and facts. And secondly, that all of those will come together to celebrate Jesus. So when we see all of that coming, that means we fulfill our vision as a church. When we talk about church planting, we want to see at least, at least, I would say, 100 churches in the next, I would say, 15 to 20 years in Romania.
Wow.
And if you want 50 years or 100 years, just multiply that.
Just multiply that number, yeah. So if you're good with math, you can figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
If not, make a spreadsheet.
Yeah, we will help you with that.
Yeah. Wow, John. You guys have a lot of work ahead of you in
Yes, we
Romania.
do. Yes, we do. But God is blessing us.
Mhm.
For example, a good thing that I can share, it's really fresh in my mind, is that 3 weeks ago, I had one of the greatest joy in my ministry. I was a witness in our church to anointing 5 new pastors in our church.
Wow.
Our network now has 11 pastors, and 8 of them are still with the mother church, and I'm praying for the day when they will say, I'm going
Hmm.
to do a church plant. Some of them are discussing about that. 3 of them, as I told you, 2 of them will start in Bucharest. They started in Bucharest. Gabi will move to Constanța and will start there. And that was a moment when I got home and I said to my wife, now I can not be pleased, but I have that excitement,
Hmm. Hmm.
because all of those 5 pastors that were anointed, they were not brought from somewhere or got from the benches of a seminary or asked them to come from Transylvania, as I was asked. They were part of the local church. So they been faithfully serving in the local church as deacons or an elders or whatever, and we saw the calling of God in their life, and we saw the work they've done, and then we say, okay, you should be pastors. And now as a church, we are so thankful that the burden of ministry is not carried by 4 pastors or 5 pastors as it was in the past. We are 8 now here, and with the 3, we're 11 in the network, and that's a good thing.
That's very encouraging, John. That is very encouraging. Especially when you see leaders in your own environment raised up and become pastors and become church planters and go out. I think that's probably one of, if not the one of the most satisfying parts of ministry. It's like when you get to watch your kids get baptized or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
You feel not proud in a good way, like
yeah.
as a parent, like, okay, all this work and investment in time is actually going in the direction that we have been praying about and fasting about. And so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I will state this. I think church should provide leaders and pastors, not seminaries. I think one of the challenges today, and one of the bad sides or a bad expectation is that we expect that seminaries and schools will give us pastors. That's wrong. Seminaries and schools should equip, should bring help, should help the pastors and the leaders of the church to grow. But I think the local church should provide leaders and pastors. I mean, they have to grow there in the family, in the church. They should develop themselves there in the church, and then seminary can come alongside and build that, but not seminary. Would, I would say we don't have to expect that seminary should produce pastors, and I think that's a huge shift also in our mentality.
Yeah, that's really important. Because then when they're based in the church and the seminaries equip them,
Yeah.
then they stay in the church and
Yep.
move on. And so that becomes really a
Yep.
key part of their
Yeah.
identity and the work that they do.
Mhm.
So as we finish here, in a few brief words, if there's a young person out there who's thinking about church planting, what would you want to say to them?
Pray about it. Dream big. If you're not an entrepreneur, surround yourself with entrepreneurs, because church planting is not just about preaching. It's not just about being handsome. It's not just about
Well, I mean,
yeah.
if you are, you
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
can't do anything about
It's
that.
not just about having the best story. No, church planting is hard. Church planting is requiring a lot of energy. So surround yourself with the best leaders in order to do that. Not be the one who can think that he can provide everything, or he can bring all the tools on the table. Don't do that. Sometimes most of the church plantings are dying because the leader, who's the leader of that team, thinks that he can do everything,
Mhm.
and perhaps that's the culture sometimes. But we have to to do things differently if we want to see a shift in our church planting movements. We have to do things differently than we've done before.
Great. Well, thank you, Neluțu, for sharing all of this about Romania and in church planting. And we just pray that God would continue to bless you and the rest of your team there, and that there would be a really amazing movement of God and in church planting in Romania. Thanks for listening to this episode of the M4 podcast. Please, if you'd like to learn more about our ministry, you can check out our website, m4europe.org. This is Craig Hamer. Have a great day.